We've got a lot to cover with this one, so let's dive right in. I'm Jacob with the Leaderboard, and we're going to take a closer look at 2005's Star Wars Battlefront 2 in comparison to its shiny new sibling, 2017's Star Wars Battlefront 2. This is Then vs. Now Battlefront 2, but before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad. The merchandise, and the fanbase. The original Battlefront 2 came out in 2005 from the team at Pandemic. It was timed to be released alongside the DVD for Revenge of the Sith, the final film of the prequel trilogy, and the last Star Wars movie to have George Lucas at the helm. It was a fraught time for Lucasfilm, as diehard fans were revolting over changes to the lore that cropped up in the later films. All of this hoopla eventually inspired the 2010 documentary, The People vs. George Lucas. Despite grumbling from hardcore fans, the prequels had awoken the slumbering giant that is the Star Wars merchandising machine. Until the prequels came out, fans had to rely on expanded universe novels and the occasional Star Wars game developed by LucasArts to scratch their Star Wars itch. Fast forward to 2012 when LucasArts was acquired by Disney, giving the Mouse House rights to the Star Wars license. Disney put their purchase to good use, loosening the reins on their newly acquired properties. 2015's The Force Awakens was the first main series movie to be released in a decade, and for the most part, the fans were back on board. That means new merchandise, which means new games, which brings us back to Battlefront. 2005's Battlefront 2, that is. After the acquisition, Disney quickly dismissed much of the expanded universe canon. In the wake of this decision, EA DICE, the developer behind the Battlefront games, decided to make the new Battlefront a series reboot of sorts. Development. 2005's Battlefront 2 was first announced at Star Wars Celebration 3 in the April of the same year. This wasn't Pandemic's first tango with the galaxy far, far away. They used their in-house Zero engine to make a Clone Wars game, as well as the previous entry in the Battlefront series. When brainstorming what to do for the sequel, the team turned to message boards to get a feel for what fans wanted, and at the time, that was pretty revolutionary. It was long before the days of Kickstarter game campaigns, giving us a whole new level of transparency in game development. In December of that year, Pandemic put out downloadable content that added new levels and characters and integrated the Hero Assault mode into more of the game's maps. 2017's Battlefront 2 was developed by EA DICE in collaboration with Criterion Games and Motive Studios. Because yeah, AAA games take multiple developers now. But all of those resources are being put to good use. EA DICE is handling the multiplayer and core game mechanic development, while Motive Studios is working on the single-player campaign. Criterion is involved in developing the spaceship and vehicle combat, which is awesome because they're known for making racing games that are a blast to control, like the excellent Burnout series. Development was announced at E3 2016, where it was revealed that the game would feature maps and characters from the new movie trilogy, including Kylo Ren, Captain Phasma, and Rey. Another big change for Battlefront 2 is all of the downloadable content. Up until recently, you could either pay for each individual pack or pay for an entire season of updates. With the new game, all core DLC is free for everyone, while paid loot crates are mainly for cosmetic items like outfits and custom character animations. The game modes. Aside from the campaign, each Battlefront has multiple modes for players to choose from. 2005's Battlefront 2 has Galactic Conquest, which plays out kinda like a Star Wars version of the board game Risk. In Galactic Conquest mode, players command a fleet to protect and conquer individual planets. Instant Action mode has multiple play variations. Instant Action is a capture point mode where teams have to hold command posts on a map. The variants you can choose from are Hunt mode, Hero Assault, Space Assault, and your standard Capture the Flag mode. Hunt mode has players choosing to either be a hunter or the species of creature that's being hunted. The creature's main goal is to survive, while the hunters have to eliminate them to win. The Hero and Space Assault modes are essentially a deathmatch with a hero and villain team duking it out on either the ground or in a space battle depending on the chosen mode. 2017's Battlefront 2 has plenty of new modes, as well as some returning favorites, albeit with tweaks and expanded ideas. Space Assault returns in an updated form as Starfighter Assault. Hero Assault has now become Heroes vs. Villains, with 4-on-4 teams of classic Star Wars characters from multiple generations taking each other on in equally classic locations. The Capture the Flag and Control Point style modes are in Strike, a mode with 2 teams of 8 competing in objective-based scenarios, and Deathmatch has also been expanded into Blast, which is a fast-paced, close-quarters combat style mode. The biggest new mode is Galactic Assault, which takes some elements from Galactic Conquest, but instead of one person controlling a fleet across multiple locations, there are 2 20-member teams, all controlled by real people. battle. On top of that, you'll be able to call on reinforcements and iconic vehicles to help out in the battle. Combat and vehicles. But all these new modes and campaigns are just icing on the core gameplay cake. In the original Battlefront 2, players have a choice between several classes which are available to all sides, with 2 of the classes being unique to each of the 4 factions. You can only unlock these special classes after earning enough points. The game also added front-rolling and sprinting to the player's arsenal of moves. The core gameplay also includes piloting a wide array of land and air-based vehicles. From land-based speeder bikes, tauntauns, and ATSTs to X-Wings and TIE fighters, there's no shortage of transportation choices. Players can also choose from an arsenal of weapons like thermal detonators and guidable rocket launchers. The new Battlefront 2 still has the class-based shared progression system, but each faction has different starting equipment. Full-on space battles were absent in 2015's Battlefront, with only planetary-based ship battles in the skies. To fans' delight, though, they're going to be making their triumphant return to the series. Not only are there full-on space battles this time around, but teams have also been expanded to 12 versus 12, along with 20 computer-controlled ships on each side to help make the battles feel that much more epic. They're also fleshing out the temporary playable heroes and villains this time, with more moves and player customization to make them feel like a full-on class instead of just a temporary power-up. Music. Both Battlefront games definitely have a big leg up in the music department. I mean, they have the iconic John Williams soundtrack to work with, after all. In 2005's Battlefront, the official soundtrack is used to tie you back to the movie moments that inspired the game. Star Wars also happens to have some of the most recognizable sound effects in movie history as well, which makes the blasters and lightsabers that much cooler. 2017's Battlefront 2 also has the John Williams edge, but it also has the additional advantage of more than a decade in video game sound design advancements. The new game utilizes 3D soundscapes and a dynamic soundtrack that has multiple layers of compositions that get more intense as you engage in combat. But you might hear less of the battle themes from the movies, as they've made their own Williams-esque music for the dynamic soundtrack system. However, that's not to say that you won't ever hear the Imperial March or Luke's theme in the game. They're used mainly as the entrance themes for the hero or villain characters. Story and campaign. Both games' campaign mode is a departure from the first game in their respective series, but in very different ways. The first Battlefront 2 has a campaign mode that follows a single perspective rather than the multiple faction choices from the original game. The story is told in flashback with narration by a veteran from the 501st Legion. The game follows as he's plopped into nearly all of the major battles from the franchise, starting with the Clone Wars and going all the way to Hoth. The campaign mainly consists of on-ground combat missions with some optional space missions sprinkled in. The new Battlefront 2's campaign mode is different from its predecessor in that it actually has a campaign mode. 2015's Battlefront was sold primarily as a multiplayer game since developers were having trouble hitting their deadlines. As a result, they were forced to drop the campaign during development. The new game's campaign mode will follow Iden Versio, a devout believer in the Empire's cause. Versio ends up commanding a small special forces team known as Inferno Squad. The campaign will follow Iden from the destruction of the second Death Star above Endor through the events leading up to The Force Awakens. The cool thing about Iden, besides being a main story protagonist on the Empire side, is that she's also the main character in Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad, one of the new Star Wars novels. So this game is wasting just no time diving right into the expanded universe lore. The Battlefront series has come a long way. Both the original Battlefront 2 and the 2017 installment are excellent entrants in a series that help fans realize their dreams of being part of this fantastic universe. Once again, I'm Jacob, and thanks for watching Then vs. Now Battlefront 2. Which Battlefront game is your favorite? Is there anything else that we missed that you think deserves a closer look? Let us know in the comments below. We have new videos dropping almost every day, so let us know what game you want us to cover next. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad, and if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.